Rapids team getting that paint.
Maxey with the steal off a Monk, and he slams for two.
Hurts looking left, lofting left, going for the end zone, and it's
Go to work.
Embiid fouled. Count it! Joel Embiid.
defense is what you're looking for. With 5, Hurts taking a deep shot. He's got his
Bagley. Fox blocked. Wow, great defensive play.
What is up, everybody? What's going on? Welcome to Party on Broad. Today is our first series of our NFL draft, Eagles draft special. You know, we are breaking down an Eagles draft target. He is Malik Willis. We're going to be talking just general impressions. We're going to be looking at the tape in his recent bowl game this past weekend, you know, just kind of reacting. And then we're going to talk about fit with the Philadelphia Eagles. And I brought on an NFL draft guru. He is Mark. Follow him on Twitter at Mark Henry Jr. _. He is, the pick swap. No, I'm sorry. Jesus. Everything's Fine podcast. I'm a little flustered today. I'm not feeling well. But my man, what's going on, Mark? Thanks for joining.
Of course, man. We're going to be doing a ton of NFL draft content, I'm sure. I did a ton last year with the Painted Lines with you. Last year, we weren't, I guess, looking as in-depth at the quarterbacks, you know, and we still don't know how in-depth we're going to be looking at the quarterbacks from a Philadelphia perspective. But, you know, there is a good amount of them to look at, and there's no clear cut. That's kind of what's going to make this class fun to talk about from a quarterback perspective in the draft, because everyone's going to have different rankings. Everyone's going to have a different opinion on how these 5, or even if you want to say 6 quarterbacks should be ranked. And I think Malik Willis, the guy we're talking about today, might be end up being the most polarizing of all 6.
Yeah, you look at the quarterback class, you look at the edge class, you look at the cornerback class. We're going to have a ton of fun ranking these guys because there's no clear number one, at least for the most part. Because I mean, even Aiden Hutchinson versus Thibodeau has been a topic of discussion over the last several weeks. But here, let's jump right into Malik Willis. You look at this guy. He had in the win over Michigan, Eastern Michigan, Malik Willis completed 13 of 24 passes for 231 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He had 58 yards on the ground and 2 more touchdowns. But the quick caveat there is Eastern Michigan's defense ranked 101st in NCAA football last year. So you look at kind of like the sporting news, just kind of talk about who this guy is and where he has fallen in this NFL draft. He is 3rd behind Matt Corral and Kenny Pickett, according to Sporting News. According to Pro Football Network, he is the 5th ranked quarterback behind Carson Strong and Sam Howell, 4th according to Sports Illustrated, and 5th according to Dan Brugler of The Athletic. Real quick, what are your general impressions of Malik Willis?
I think what you just said there, it kind of says a lot about Malik Willis. And he's ranked anywhere from, 2nd to 5th or 6th, wherever you want to rank him, because I think a lot of Malik Willis is going to come down to how you feel about that style of quarterback, because he is very much a dual threat quarterback, very much a guy whose best attribute may not be his arm. It may be his legs and what he can do for an offense. And I think you see around the NFL, maybe these running quarterbacks, maybe they're in terms of you're looking at a guy like Lamar Jackson or Jalen Hurts, maybe there's questions on a guy like that can get to the next level and win a Super Bowl. But I think we've seen across the NFL that when you have that ability, it does give you a certain floor in the NFL. You see even with Taysom Hill that they're able to compete. We see with Jalen Hurts that we've been better than Vegas expected this year, than a lot of people expected Philadelphia. And I think a lot of that is because of Jalen Hurts' rushing ability. He leads the NFL in third downs. I think Malik Willis is going to benefit positively from that trend in the NFL and from this trend of mobile quarterbacks being able to succeed. And I mean, you look at him and you break him down. You say the strengths right there. He's raw, dual threat quarterback with a huge arm and great athleticism. There's so much Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson in this guy's game. You don't want to, put someone in a box right away when they're so young. But you look at the size and you look at the kind of the mechanics that are lacking in some areas. But then you look at what he's able to make happen on some plays that should be dead. And you look at what he's able to make happen in the pocket, whether that be to run for a first down or whether that be to create more, space for himself. The thing that's going to be tough in evaluating Malik Willis as opposed to when we were evaluating a Jalen Hurts or when we were evaluating a Lamar Jackson in college, it is the fact that he played at Liberty. And a lot of the opponents that he played were not at the same level as the guys that Lamar Jackson was facing in the ACC and the guys that Jalen Hurts was facing in the SEC and then even in the Big 12. But you look at what happened to Lamar and Hurts in their draft process. They both kind of fell too far. Lamar way too far, and Hurts, the jury's still out on how far he fell. But Malik Willis is going to benefit, like I said, from those guys being successful. And I think we're at the point where I'm prepared to say I think he's going to be a first-round pick.
Okay. We're going to talk about that very, very soon. But like real quick rundown, obviously that the physical tools and the arm strength make him a really intriguing NFL draft prospect. I think that, his biggest tools are his physical tools and that ability to throw deep down the field, which we'll get into. You touched on his athleticism. He ran a 4.37 40-yard dash during his sophomore season. Michael Vick and Robert Griffin are the only quarterbacks in NFL history at the combine to run sub 4.4 40s. So this guy is clearly going to crush it here potentially during the combine, during the Senior Bowl, which he was invited. And you touched on Jalen Hurts, man. Malik Willis ran the RPO in nearly 33% of his offense at Liberty. On dropbacks, he also scrambled 30% of his dropbacks, the highest of any quarterback in this class. And you look at kind of Jalen Hurts with the Eagles, the dude has 123 RPO plays this year through 12 games. But you kind of look at that inaccuracy and inability to get the ball downfield. That is well documented. Jalen Hurts is first in RPO yards, yet 16th in passing yards on play action. Hurts is also 20th in the league in total passes, 20 yards or more. And he's only got 3 passes or 40 yards or more. So the highs of Malik Willis are really high, but then the lows of Malik Willis are really low. And you're going to kind of see that when we start the tape here. By the way, here's some more stats. Malik Willis accounted for 67% of the Flames' total offense this year, 242 yards, 242 points responsible. That's 7th best in last year's college football season. 287.7 yards per game is 19th best, and 13.8 yards per completion is 22nd best. With that being said, let's look at the tape here. This is against Eastern Michigan. This is every single play and snap that we're going to see. And everything we just talked about, his arm strength and his kind of ability to escape the pocket and, improvise and get yards and make that first guy miss in the backfield is kind of what you're going to see here. So here we go. If you ever want me to stop, Mark, let me know.
He'll keep. Tries to make a man miss. Nice job coming up to make the run. He'll throw the football. Has NFL scouts salivating. Now looking to go deep. Has a receiver out there, and he's covered well. Maybe too well. Not too well, though. DJ Stubbs was the intended receiver.
Out there, his first throw, that's a miss.
And just like that, it's 3rd and 5. Now Eastern Michigan's coming with pressure. Willis escapes it initially. Now he throws downfield, and he just can't find a receiver.
So that's something that is like instantly, I think, translatable a little bit to the NFL. His ability to make guys miss is definitely something, one of his biggest physical attributes here. Just to make that first guy miss, and then he gets rid of the ball here, which I like. That being said, he has had 3 games this year with 3 interceptions or more, and another game with 2 interceptions. So he definitely struggles reading through his progressions. He struggles reading the field. He struggles missing guys that are open, something that we have called out Jalen Hurts several times so far this season. So let's keep
real quick. And by the way, I can control the video as well.
Okay.
So just saying that play is like what you get excited about, even though it ends in an incompletion. And you're right. On most occasions, I would like to see him throw that away. But because it was 3rd and 5, he tried to fit it in there in a tight corner on the sideline to get a first down. His ability to escape that sack was definitely impressive.
Yeah. He did that a ton. Again, he's got great speed. He's got that like second acceleration level speed that you'll see in this game where he just I don't know if that's level of competition, but there are definitely times when he just has that burst that you really gotta love.
Willis can't too running it.
Oh, nice block.
Wow.
In front of him. Not about Willis.
He's athletic, man. That's
going deep. Has a receiver out there. It's caught. That's
we're gonna watch this
Stubbs,
again.
and he'll score.
So there, a touchdown pass here to open the game. But the mechanics are kind of something that has been well documented with Malik Willis. Like just throwing on his back leg, that has led to a lot of accuracy issues downfield for Malik Willis throughout this season. That's something that's going to take a lot of coaching, I think, maybe even more than a year during his first year in the NFL.
The thing that's funny about the accuracy issues is, I mean, you look at the stats from last year compared to this year. I'm not going to tell you that he was Drew Brees, passing at 75% completion percentage or anything like that, but he was at 64%, which is a lot more acceptable than where he was this year in 2021 at 61%. And a lot of those mechanic issues didn't seem as glaring last year as they were this year. Maybe that's just Liberty having a better offensive line last year. They did have a better team last year in general. But those are the kind of things where you wonder if he kind of, when he was starting, he was still focusing on his mechanics. So he would, kind of succeed. Once he started getting that, notoriety, and once he started rising up draft boards, I wonder if he started thinking a little bit differently and thinking, I have to make plays happen for the team. So hopefully that is something when you get to the next level, you can at least get him back to the efficiency and the accuracy that he was showing in his junior year as opposed to this year.
Yep.
Has all kinds of time to throw. He's going to go up top. And another flag.
Or he can get it downfield, that's for sure. Got a wild arm.
Willis stepping up in the pocket. He's being chased. Finally run out of bounds at the 15.
Single run.
Fake to Shedro. Willis to pass. Now being forced from the pocket.
I like this pass.
Receiver to go deep.
That is a nice pass.
Wow.
This was actually a penalty. They got taken back. So look at this pass on the run to his left. When have you seen Jalen Hurts make a throw like that to his left?
Yeah.
Here we go. Look, that is a dime right in his basket right there.
Hits him inside the 40-yard
And
line.
what's funny about this play, I think this is the next play after that was this.
Now he may have a free play for Willis. He's going to try and go deep. As a receiver out there inside
That was more
Michigan territory. This time, C.J. Daniels.
Great play. Another big play.
Willis looking to throw. Pressure up the middle. Gets it to his running back, Shedro Lewis.
You see him throwing that to Kenny Gainwell a little bit
Here
here?
to win, here to fight, and they've been doing that.
Willis up top. That's Firth again. This time overthrows him. Willis has time, has a receiver, just overshoots
See, there's a
him.
throw where
Has
he just overthrows him. The ball definitely soars.
time overthrows him.
I don't think there was pressure at all.
Willis
Nah,
has time,
yeah,
has a
he just
receiver,
missed
just overshoots him.
Yeah, that's a clean pocket and an open receiver. That's a throw you got to make for sure.
Mm-hmm.
That was Kevin.
Really slippery out there with the wet turf.
Another opportunity here, Willis to throw. A near similar
Good
play.
pass.
This time he hits Shaw.
Now from the far hash, which is an NFL-type throw.
And he has all kinds of time here and just
The
misses.
field, which I'm sure he's fine with.
Now the fake to Green. Willis will again look to throw. Has a receiver wide
Wide
open.
open.
Over the middle. That's Huntley, and he'll score.
That there's not much to say about Willis on that play. That's the play call. That's just looking at this play call. This is something I hope Nick Sirianni sees. Look at this like fake though. You have no idea where this ball's going. This is just me nerding out over football, but
And he has all kinds of time here and just
a little too far back. Yeah, there's two guys faking the other way. You have no idea. There's one guy over here biting on that. There's a guy right here who's supposed to be in coverage, probably on this guy, biting on that. So that's at least two. This guy's probably biting as well. That's three people biting on the two fakes that you did, which caused like 0.5 seconds. And it also leaves the middle of the field wide open for that guy to be obviously wide open. And then there's a lot of room for Yak. That's just, I mean, that's a great play call.
Yeah. So yes, Liberty definitely, really played well this game. The problem is they didn't play that well against better competition.
Yeah, no, they
There's
did not.
another
Yeah.
wide open down the middle of the field.
Yeah, these are just like these are pretty easy throws right now.
Mm-hmm.
Just scheming them open. And then that shows kind of the athleticism and the options that you have in the red zone with a guy like Malik Willis. And as we've seen that with Jalen Hurts at times this year.
I'm sure you could copy and paste that with Jalen Hurts, that play just there.
100%. 100%.
Here's this escaping the pressure many times and still gets 8-9 yards out of it.
Yeah, that's really impressive. That's an impressive 9-yard gain if I've ever seen one. And yeah, you get it. That's an RPO right there.
Yeah, Liberty runs a high tempo offense. Like they run very fast.
That's another RPO right there. That's a really good throw in a tight window right there, actually.
I think for better or worse, Malik Willis throws a lot of balls in tight windows. Struggles reading off his first guy. We'll have flashes where he throws a great ball. Then there are times when he'll throw into double coverage, and you're like, wait, what? Look at this run. I mean,
wow.
That's like video game level run right there.
Yeah, I mean, there's been probably 2 to 3 guys in the NFL's history who could make that run that have played good quarterback, and it's Michael Vick, Lamar Jackson, and I mean, maybe Randall, maybe Kyler. Like, there's only a handful of guys who can really say that they would have been able to make that play.
Yeah, so Liberty is blowing out Eastern Michigan. Not the greatest bowl game to showcase his skill set. Well, I guess for him, it was a good
game.
Yeah,
I'm sure he was happy.
Eastern Michigan doesn't have a defense. But that's kind of the biggest question mark is, what can he do against better competition?
We saw he knows how to slide there. That's something that a lot of running quarterbacks have problems with. That's good. Maybe he has baseball in his past. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that when I'm watching this, it kind of I'm sure we'll get into how we feel about him as a prospect personally and how we would kind of.
That's a nice throw right there.
That is a really nice throw in another tight window, and how we would put him in QB rankings. But the athleticism you see from this is just different than when you turn on a Matt Corral highlight tape, and Matt Corral's got things that he does better. For sure when throwing the ball than Malik Willis. But I think when a lot of people so for instance, I've put out my quarterback rankings. I had Malik Willis 3rd and Matt Corral 4th, but really in my head, and you're seeing the athleticism there, escaping a sack there is insane. But the reason I had Willis just a slight notch above is this athleticism is on a different level, because you'll see from that's a crazy throw. I thought that was going to be picked for a second.
Yeah.
You'll see people think that Matt Corral should be ranked higher than Malik Willis because it's like, oh, well, Matt Corral runs as well. Matt Corral can escape the pocket. Matt Corral can run for touchdowns in the red zone, and he can. And that's definitely a positive for Matt Corral, but there's levels to that when you're able to talk about the effect that rushing will have on an offense. I think Malik Willis is the type of quarterback that he will have a really positive effect on his running backs, like we've seen Jalen Hurts have at times, like we've seen Lamar have in Baltimore, and like we saw an RG3, the guy you mentioned earlier, have on a guy like Alfred Morris in Washington when he was working. And you see time and time again that these mobile quarterbacks help the offense so much because it opens up things for the running backs as well. And I think that Malik Willis is the exact type of guy that's going to do that.
All right, let's rate real quick out of 10 his fit with the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm in probably that 5 range. I think. If he falls out of the first round, and if the Eagles do go heavy draft, which I think they should edge, they're not going to go linebacker, but maybe Kyle Hamilton falls, one of those top cornerbacks fall to the Eagles pick here in the top of the first round. And then maybe you kind of make that decision, down the first, like that Colts pick is now official. So if that pick is in the low 20s and maybe you trade back a little bit, and this guy falls to you in that's top of the second round, then you kind of maybe bite the bullet there. But for me, I will probably pass on Malik Willis. I'm not the biggest believer in a lot of these quarterbacks, to be honest, but we'll go through every single one of them. I just see that Jalen Hurts, comp so much in that game throughout his season here that I'm just more willing to kind of address bigger areas like the defense, like the edge, like even linebacker. You want to throw that in, and even though you know the Eagles' history in the first round with linebackers. But I give him a 5 right here. What about you, Mark?
Yeah, I'm probably in the same boat. I will say there is 2 linebackers that are going to go in the first round, so maybe we'll break that trend. But Malik Willis is a guy I think will definitely get talked into being a top 20 to top 25 pick in this draft. And I think quarterbacks in general, you'll see rise up the draft board, as we always kind of see from December to March or April. I don't love the fit with the Eagles. I don't think moving on from Jalen Hurts and then going to a very similar guy who's going to have the same problems, probably running the offense that Sirianni wants to run. I think I'd rather, like you said, just address different areas and probably give Jalen Hurts another year and give Jalen Hurts another chance, or try to address quarterback in a different way. I know obviously everyone wants to talk about Russell Wilson. So I would probably look at different ways to address the quarterback position than Malik Willis, but I am relatively high on Malik Willis as an NFL prospect. I have him in my 1.0 that I haven't put out yet. I have him 19th overall, and I have him QB3 on my board. So I'm not quite as excited as the top 2 QBs on my board, who I have as top 15 talents. And I would be very interested in the Eagles drafting. But Malik Willis is definitely going to I think there is a floor that Malik Willis will bring to an NFL team's offense.
So that is our quick scouting report on Malik Willis. I'm going to be doing these all throughout bowl game season here. I've got Carson Strong on the 27th, Sam Howell on the 30th, Kenny Pickett on the 30th, Matt Corral on the 1st. Yeah, Mark?
I think Strong and Pickett opted out of their bowl game.
Did they? I did not see that. Oh,
I don't think it's official yet, but the line movement on those games is pretty crazy right now. So a lot of people are saying that they think Carson Strong is opting out, and same with Kenny Pickett.
Shit, that makes sense on their end, because they're especially Kenny Pickett, who's you don't want to screw that up, because he's like getting first pick discussion right now. That's how high he's fallen. How high he has risen.
His stock's never going to be higher. I currently have him 5th overall. And I threw out Lamar Jackson for Malik Willis. I would throw out Joe Burrow for Kenny Pickett, the way he was able to improve in his senior year. His stock's never going to be higher. And just real quick, I will just, because I forgot to make this comp. Malik Willis's junior year was very efficient, and his senior year was inefficient, which I discussed. Matt Corral is kind of the opposite. Matt Corral in his junior year threw all these picks, and I think it was 6 picks in one game. So people were concerned that he had those issues with decision making. And then this year he kind of developed in a really nice way, efficiency wise. Malik Willis kind of the opposite. So do you want to buy into that junior year and ignore that senior year for Willis, or do you want to buy into that senior year for Corral and ignore that junior year? It's going to be an interesting conversation for the rest of the offseason.
Yep. I am all in. We're going to be doing these breakdowns on the quarterbacks throughout this process until the NFL draft goes down. But I think Kenny Pickett, there's no reason he should play. It sucks for Pitt fans, but that guy is terrific. So he is just leaps and bounds this season, has grown. So, Mark, where can we find you, man? What do you got going on?
You can find me at Mark Henry Jr. _ I do a podcast with Everything's Fine with Kyle Pagan. I do a podcast here on the Painted Lines with Shane Hath. I did my first Tough Cover podcast in like 2 weeks, which was nice to get out there and do on Sunday. So way too many places, but you can see all those places if you follow me at Mark Henry Jr. _ I retweet all of it.
All right. That is Mark Henry Jr. Give him a follow at Mark Henry Jr. _ Thank you, everyone, for watching. Please give this video a like if you love the NFL draft. And we'll see you on the next podcast. Stay awesome, everybody.
This team getting that paint. Maxey with the steal off a Monk, and he slams for 2.
Hurts looking left, lofting left, going for the end zone, and he's
Go to work. Embiid fouled. Count it! Joel Embiid.
defense is what you're looking for. At 5, Hurts taking a deep shot. He's got his
Hagley. Fox blocked. Wow, great defensive play.